supper and a mother at the best place around. Some stupid with a flare gun burned the place to the ground. Smoke on the water, fire in the sky. Smoke on the water. Burned down the gambling house. It died with an awful sound. Funky and Claude was running in and out, pulling kids out of the ground. But when it all was over, we had to find another place. Swiss time was running out. It seemed that we would lose the race. Smoke on the water, fire in the sky. Smoke on the water.
You wanna know what goes on backstage? Oh, come on. Let me take you by the hand. Ow!
Rudy, are you ready?
Ladies and gentlemen,
The way I see it, Barry, this should be a very dynamite show.
You know, I have no idea what the name of this program is, but you're watching it.
Backstage,
All you ever want,
backstage,
all you ever need.
backstage.
Your dreams will be fulfilled once you are there. You'll never wanna leave. You wanna sell your ass for that backstage pass. Backstage is just for the invited. Backstage, they've laid on everything.
Hello, here is another streaming of RUDI Backstage International. Yes, people have been writing to me if I cut my hair. No, I did not cut my hair. This is the proof. How are you? Well, it's difficult to laugh and be funny in these days because of Ukraine, because of a war that should have never happened. But I want to try to give you, a little bit of time with pop culture and rock and roll. So, we can not forget, but we can think of something else. Because I also see myself, thinking of bad things all the time makes you a little bit sick. So anyway, my topic today is the Rolling Stones. They have announced that they are going to play several dates in Europe. The Vienna concert and the Munich concert is two places where I'm going to meet them, and I'm going to watch the shows. It's very funny because years ago, I honestly don't know which of the tours it was. I was taking Benny and Ruby, my two beloved sons, to a Rolling Stones concert in Vienna, and it was right at the stage, like the best of the best spots you could have. I was working with the Stones at the time, so I had connections to very good places and of course backstage. And I was asking Benny today, because I told him that I arranged that we're gonna see the Vienna concert together, and he said, well, I'm not sure. I do remember it a little bit, but so that must mean that he was very, very young when I did that. Anyway, it was all over the press and the news. I think it's good that they're still on tour. I personally think they deserve it, and Ibis Music Hotel presented by Ibis Music Hotel, the streaming, but I'm just having nothing else. That's really the reason why I'm drinking the coffee from a coffee mug of Ibis. The other thing is that I'm in negotiations for a new project. I cannot tell you a lot, but it's going to be for an American broadcasting corporation. And I'm very, very excited because I do love the Stones and I do have quite a lot of history together with them. I mean, there were videos that I did, for example, Time Is On My Side, but also I Go Wild. There was concerts that I filmed, for example, in Stockholm. I did the Voodoo Lounge tour. I think it was the Voodoo Lounge tour. No, was it another tour? I filmed the Still Life tour in 1980 something in America and in Europe. I filmed also. I was also there when they played in Netherlands, in Amsterdam, the famous, it will come to me in a moment, the famous club, which was the club show. I was in Paris with them. Oh yes, Paris. There's another story. My mom, who is now in heaven, hello mom, I'm thinking of you every day. She became 90-something years old, and when she turned 80, I was giving her a very special birthday present. At the time, the Stones were touring, and I was working with the Stones, so I had access to various, special passes and backstage and what have you. And I gave my mom a collection of cities in which the Stones played great concerts, and I choose one of the cities. We're going to spend the whole weekend there, Friday to Monday, and then part of that weekend is going to be you're going to meet the Rolling Stones because your son is working with them, and we're going to watch the concert together. I mean, don't forget, she was 80 years old, 80. That's typical Rudy stuff, you know. So she picked Paris, and there's this famous Georges V, I hope I pronounced it correct, hotel where, of course, I was renting a suite for my mom. She was never in a hotel like this. This was like, or in a suite like this, where you could almost lose yourself because there's so many rooms. My mom was a very hardworking, honest, person who was, making a lot out of her life, but starting from a very simple background. Middle class, you would say, in America. So finally, the day of the concert comes. There was very nice things. I even did a documentary. I remember now, which was never shown anywhere. It was called "Mom, a Mutter in Paris," which means mother in Paris, and which also shows that we were going to special places where they portray you and so on. I still have those portraits. She kept it until the end of her life. And so anyway, the day of the concert came, and it was an outdoor, it was an open air, and I remember it was raining cats and dogs. The British say, I think, or even the Americans, you say in English, and it was on a flight airplane, sort of big. I don't know what you call it, place, not at the airplane where airplane land, but I mean next to it with a lot of grass and what have you, near an airport. And so it was raining, and we were there, and they started playing. And after 3 songs, I thought that for an elderly woman with 80 years old, it's enough. And I said, "Mom, let's go inside." and we were obviously in the backstage area, and there were big monitors, I remember, and the whole Rolling Stones family. There was Jerry Hall at the time, who was with Mick Jagger at the time. There was the father of Keith Richards, the son of Keith Richards, people, the spouses of the band, and there was the monitor, and which of course was was showing the cameras that were on stage for the big screen. So after 2 songs, I see my mother. We were in the very back of this group. It was a big group with sitting places and chairs and what have you. And suddenly my mom goes up to the very front, and I think, oh my God, what is she doing? And she said, louder, louder, louder. She says back, she says, this is rock music. It's not loud enough. Because I thought, it's quite good that we are now backstage because there is not so much noise. But no, she was 80 and she wanted to have rock music louder. That was one of the things. The other thing that I remember was that before the concert started, we were really backstage. And I was sort of unsure, how would Jagger and Richards react, and there was this obviously always those meet and greet situations, where people can make a photograph and whatever. But we were sort of unofficially, and my mother had this little photo camera. So suddenly when Jagger and Richard came, my mom took out this photo camera, and I said, Mom, you cannot do this. I mean, this is a no-go. You cannot make photographs when you're with Rudy, the video director of Stones videos. I mean, how do I look, But actually, Jagger and Richards loved it, and I don't know where those pictures are, but she did them, and she was happy. And in the end, they thought it's so sweet that Rudy brings his mother to the Rolling Stones concert. So in the end, everything was nice. There was one thing, and then of course there was, my endless things on tour. I do remember a concert in Syracuse, where a day before there was a big hurricane in the New York area, and Syracuse is in the state of New York. So it was unclear if the concert even happens. And of course, there is this endless of situations with Keith Richards. One was in Argentina. Is this famous moment when you see the vodka glass, going through a very old and ancient hotel, and you hear music, and you see this glass going, and it's like my show reel starts with that, and also a Rolling Stones documentary started with that. And then after there's a lot of intercuts of shouting fans and so on. And then at the end, you go into a room and there's Keith Richards, who's playing what you just heard with the guitar, and takes the glass and says, it's about time. And then the Stones movie started. So my Stones documentaries, I did one that was called The First 20 Years. Can you imagine? It's now 60 years. The first 20 years, that was for Austrian and German television prime time at the time. And the famous Alexis Korner who was actually the guy who, in the band, the Stones, or most of the Stones, played in the band of Alexis Korner. Blues Incorporated was the name of the band. And he was presenting it. And at the time, very famous, but still famous German rock star Nina Hagen was the co-presenter. That was one thing. And then I remember I did one which was called Jagger against Richards, where I interviewed both of them. That was the time when they didn't speak to each other, but in my program, they were sort of speaking to each other. When Jagger was going on solo tour, and Keith didn't like that at all. Then I did another program. I will dig those programs out, and this is the plan with Doro TV. But it takes much more time because I have so many other things, and please forgive me, that I have so many ideas and not enough helping hands to make it all happen. But another one was, I remember, about Vienna. that was called like footnotes to an event where I was doing I was also filming with them and a few songs, but it was mainly about the surrounding, the fans, and that was a very sort of emotional thing because it's my hometown. Then I did one which was called Let It Bleed. That was, I think, when 40 years of Stones were happening. Let It Bleed. That was for Arte, France and Germany. Um, and then, of course, there was this, I think, one of my best works, the Argentina documentary, Stones in Argentina. I mean, Jane Rose, the manager of Keith Richards, called me, and because the fans they were the first time that the Stones were playing Argentina, and she sort of said or wrote, I don't remember, on the phone, this has to be filmed because they were singing all night long Stone songs in front of the hotel and stuff. In the backstage signation or in the opener, there is moments of Argentina when Jagger walks out there. That is, and those people are going wild and crazy. That was that shoot, and the funny thing was that I was on a diving boat, having a diving holiday as I used to have, and I think it was Fax, or was it still Telex? I don't know. And there was no, internet or satellite phones and whatever. And when I came off a really great diving, when I just was thinking about fish and diving, I was doing 4 dives a day. Usually, I still do those trips. The next one I'm gonna do with Benny, by the way. We're both looking forward to this. That we go on. It's called Eat. Eat, Sleep, and Dive. So you basically just do those 3 things, and of course you talk a lot about what you see and so on. And Benny is a very good diver in the meantime, and we can do that. Corona was stopping it and delaying it, but maybe it was good, so he's even more experienced. And I was coming off that dive trip, and he said, you have to call your office, important. And then I was already in South America, and I had to go to Buenos Aires. But the problem was I only had the diving outfit and outfit for for a holiday. So first thing was I had to go and buy some clothes. So these things with the vodka glass and the Jagger who comes out, those things are out of this documentary. And well, as it looks, there might be a new one soon. Let's see. I don't want to talk too much about things that but it looks very, very good. So Keith is a good friend, and of course Charlie is missed dearly. Yeah, I was always thinking that Charlie Watts was one of the backbones. Keith once said to me, whether it's a recording session or a rehearsal, when I hear Charlie on the drums, then I know everything is fine and we really are working. Charlie once said, playing live, yes, we play wrong, but the Stones learn to play wrong together, so you don't hear it, which I think is also quite nice. So I wish them all the best. I mean, there is already concerts going on, and I think the 60 tour is going to be you should see it. You should go and see it if you're anywhere near the possibility of getting tickets. Might be the last tour. I'm not sure. I think as long as Mick and Keith are fit to go on the stage, they will go on the stage. That's my opinion. I don't think that anything will keep them. If one of the two either decides that he doesn't want to or he can't go on stage anymore, then we're going to be in an interesting situation regarding the Rolling Stones. But like Keith Richards once said, I mean, the first interview with Keith, I should tell you this story before I go. I think it was 1979. And I'm pretty sure it was London in a hotel room. And it turned out to be part of my documentary, Rolling Stones, the First 20 Years, where we actually interviewed all the Stones independently, and they didn't know that this was all for a big project at the time. It was a little bit different times. There was not so much control of record companies or managements and so on. But Keith was, he was giving an interview to a young lady of 17, 18, 19, 20 years for a school magazine. Honestly, that was, I was told. I mean, Keith Richards, who is very difficult to get for interviews, gives an interview for a school magazine, you know? I think it had to do with the very good looking young female journalist who was doing the interview. Anyway, she had a slot, and I was the next and the last. And the next day they had to travel, I think it was somewhere in Europe where they started the world tour. I think it was the Still Life tour. But in America it was called different. You know, they sometimes had different titles for the tours in the US and in Europe. So, and when I came in, there was piles of dirty laundry and everything. He didn't even have packed. So he was in full clothing with cowboy boots in his bed. It was the first time I saw a human being drinking a full bottle of Jack Daniels within 2 hours. And actually you can see how the whiskey gets less and less. But he spoke in the same way at the end after the full bottle like he did in the beginning. So I think his body is very, very used to alcohol. And he said things like sex and drugs and rock and roll. The Rolling Stones invented all three. Or regarding Brian Jones, who is, as you know, the first guitarist of the Rolling Stones, who unfortunately died, but he left the Stones for. He said, "Yeah, you don't leave the Stones other in a box." So this is a famous interview, and there is some. It's a little bit similar to the prostitute interview of this gentleman, of Freddie Mercury. That's the equivalent that I was able to do with Keith. But I did a lot of interviews with Keith, and you're going to see them soon on in English original language on my YouTube channel, RUDI TV, which is, by the way, a good idea if you would be so kind and subscribe it. It's of course free of charge. That was it for today. It was a Rolling Stones special. There is more Rolling Stones stories, but I'll have to keep some for the next time when I again say it's RUDI Backstage International time. You know, Sunday, like every fucking Sunday, it's backstage time. Please stay safe. The pandemic is not over, and please do whatever you can. It was so brave of this lady in the Russian television. You know, what are we doing for peace? Let's ask ourselves this, and let's come up with some solutions. And always, at the end, love and respect and peace.
You wanna know what goes on backstage? Oh, come on. Let me take you by the hand. Ow!
Rudy, are you ready?
Ladies and gentlemen,
The way I see it, Barry, this should be a very dynamite show.
You know, I have no idea what the name of this program is, but you're watching it.
Backstage. All you ever want. Backstage. All you ever need. Backstage. Your dreams will be fulfilled once you are there. You'll never wanna leave. You wanna sell your ass for that backstage pass. Backstage is just for the invited.